In this lesson, you are going to learn how to import layered Adobe Photoshop .PSD files and how to prepare and import Adobe Illustrator vector files into After Effects so you can create in Photoshop and Illustrator, then import the files into After Effects and preserve all of the layers so you can animate everything independently. This is the Photoshop.psd file to import into After Effects. So there's 8 layers, they're all labeled, and the size of the document is 1920 by 1080 pixels, 72 ppi. The size of the Photoshop document is going to be the size of the composition that After Effects creates. And to import the Photoshop.psd file into After Effects, you can double-click in an empty space in the project panel. You can also go to the top menu, File, Import File, or use the keyboard shortcut Command or Ctrl-I. Select the .psd file. Go to Import As, click the drop-down, and we are going to select Composition Retain Layer Sizes. What that is going to do is when After Effects imports the Photoshop document, each layer is going to retain their layer size, or they're going to be the exact same dimensions as they are in Photoshop. If you choose the second option, all the graphics are going to look the same, only the bounding box for each layer is going to be the size of the entire Photoshop document. Now this can be useful if you want to make sure that each layer stays in the exact same position. I'm going to change it to Composition Retain Layer Sizes. I do not need to check either one of these boxes. I'll click Open. We get another dialog box. Import Kind is just what we just chose, so keep it on Composition Retain Layer Sizes. We'll keep this on Editable Layer Styles, which is going to match the Photoshop appearance. Otherwise, if you chose Merge Layers, it's going to bake in the layer styles into the footage, so we want to be able to edit it in After Effects. Click OK, and now we just imported the Photoshop document into After Effects. I'll hover my cursor between the panels to make a little room. So as we can see, After Effects automatically created the composition when it imported the Photoshop document. We can see that the type is a composition. We also know it's a composition by that little icon next to the file name. It's the same icon as the Create a New Composition button at the bottom of the project panel. After Effects also created a folder, and inside of the folder are PSD files for each layer of the Photoshop document. And to open the composition, all we have to do is simply double-click on it, and that will open it up in the timeline. And if we look down in the Layers panel, we can see there is a layer for each layer of the Photoshop document. So we can animate each layer independently. And if we look at the bounding box, I'll make this a brighter color, we can see the bounding box is going around each layer because we chose to retain layer sizes. And now let's look at how to import an Adobe Illustrator file into After Effects. And this does require a little bit of prep work in Illustrator before importing into After Effects. The trick in After Effects is to ungroup all of the layers and put them all on their own independent layer. An easy way to do that is to select the top group layer, go to the hamburger menu or the 3 horizontal lines in the top right corner, and choose Release to Layers Sequence. I'll click that. Then I'm going to select the layers. These are the sublayers underneath that main top group layer. I'm going to click and I'm just going to drag it above. So now they're all on their own layers. Notice they all changed the names to layer 1, layer 2. And this bottom layer, this is empty. So I can just select that and delete it. Now you're going to want to rename each layer before you import it into After Effects. So just double click to rename. And I'll show you one other method to create new layers. So I'll twirl open this group. You can come right here where it says Create New Layer. That's going to create the layer outside of the group, which is what you want. you can just select a layer and just drag it right onto that new layer that was just created, and just repeat this, just dragging them on. And that's just getting those layers outside of that group onto their own layers. So once you do this, it's going to be the exact same thing that we just did about releasing the layers, only this is more of a manual process. That bottom layer is empty, so we can just select it and delete it. Then you would just rename the layers, and it's the exact same thing we did over here. Once everything is on its own layer and you have renamed for organization purposes, it's time to save as an Illustrator file by going to File, Save As. I'll just save it to my desktop, so make sure you have Adobe Illustrator .ai selected as the file type. Click Save, we'll click OK. To import the Illustrator file, we can double-click in an empty area in the project panel, which will open up a Finder or Explorer window, or go to the top menu, File, Import File, or use the keyboard shortcut Command or Ctrl-I. Select the .ai file, go down to Import As. This time, we're going to choose Composition just so you can see the difference between this and the retained layer sizes. We can keep these two boxes unchecked. I'll click Open. I'll make a little room on the panel by hovering my cursor between the panels and just dragging. Just like with the Photoshop document, After Effects created a composition from the Illustrator file. It also created a folder, and inside of the folder are .ai files for each layer. And to open this composition, just double click. That will open a new tab on the timeline. In the Layers panel, you should see all of the individual layers named exactly as you named them in Illustrator. So for the Illustrator file, we imported as a composition, and for the Photoshop file, retain layer sizes. So let me just show you the difference. This is the Illustrator file, and when I select a layer, the bounding box or the transform handles are the size of the Illustrator file, which happens to be the same size as the After Effects composition, 1920 by 1080 pixels. So every layer is coming in as the document size of the Illustrator file. Now the Photoshop file that we chose retain layers, when we select individual layers, you can see that the layer came in as the original size of the layer in Photoshop. Now we could do that in Illustrator, but we just have to choose retain layer sizes. So if I go back to the import menu, choose the Illustrator file, and this time choose retain layer sizes, I'll import, I'll double click to open, and now when I select each layer, notice the transform handles are going around the size of the layer. If you import Illustrator files or vectors and the vectors look a little blurry or pixelated, go to the Layers panel. You're looking for this little star icon, which is called Continuously Rasterize. If you don't see it, right-click in the header, go to Columns, Switches, select the vector layers, tick the box, and you will see an improvement in the vector layers. For Photoshop files, if you have text that you created in Photoshop, to edit in After Effects, just right-click on a text layer, go to Create, and choose Convert to Editable Text, and now you'll be able to edit the text in After Effects. Knowing how to import Photoshop and Illustrator files into After Effects unlocks a world of creativity. In the next lesson, you are going to learn all about layers in the Timeline panel, which is where the magic happens in After Effects.